Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence has been raided by federal agents.
I mean, graph it out, man. We're speeding toward assassination, obviously.
This is a colossal failure for the Secret Service. The protocols that went into place from 1963 until this day is that we prioritize high places because we understand a man with a rifle, if they have any level of expertise, they can kill a president very quickly.
Wake up every day and see that image of our father in our head.
Do you condemn the shooter shooting Donald Trump?
No. Not here, not on this program, not in front of these people. Absolutely.
It's July 3rd, 2024, only 4 months before the November election. Trump announced a rally in the swing state of Pennsylvania. It would take place in the Butler Farm Showgrounds, located in the western part of the state. Just 3 days after the Trump announcement, a 20-year-old young man registered to attend, and also searched the internet for how far Oswald was from Kennedy. On July 7th, he visited the showgrounds and remained there for 20 minutes. The next day, in a separate part of the country, Joe Biden made a phone call with several top donors. This was nearly a month after Biden's first debate from the election cycle. Many polls weren't painting a pretty picture. Biden maintained that he was best equipped to beat Donald Trump, but others were growing skeptical, even some of his closest allies. These were some of Biden's last weeks in the race, and his critics were saying that he couldn't last 2 terms. Perhaps now he was facing a lot of tension, and during this meeting with donors, he said that, "I have one job, and that's to beat Donald Trump. I'm absolutely certain I'm the best person to be able to do that. So we're done talking about the debate. It's time to put Trump in a bullseye." At the time, the quote may have seemed harmless, but it would ring horribly in the ears of many Americans as their beloved president would go plummeting to the ground. The ramifications of this phone call will be discussed more thoroughly in a future episode, the plot against the presidents. But first let's head back to Butler, Pennsylvania. It's now July 12th, just 6 days after the subject registered to attend the rally. He went to the sports club and practiced shooting. It seemed this may have been the first time he practiced before the failed assassination attempt. In high school, he attempted to join a marksmanship team, but was turned down because of his poor aim.
But what I do know is that he tried out for the rifle team from just talking with some of my friends who we had mutual relations with Tom. He didn't make it onto the rifle team. From what I've heard, he was just not a good shot.
Not a good shot.
Yeah, not a good shot, and just not following, didn't really seem like he was a safe fit.
The next day, the subject visited the Butler Farm Showgrounds at 10 a.m. He remained there for 70 minutes. He returned home and at 1:30 was given a rifle from his father, which he would purportedly use in a visit to the sportsman club. At 1:55 he purchased his ammo, gearing up to put his plot into action. In the meantime, local Trump supporters are getting ready for their big day. Many are very excited for the event. One local fire chief joked with his wife and daughters.
My husband kept saying, "He's going to call me up on stage. You're going to hear him. He's going to say, 'Corey, come on up here.'"
But Corey and his daughters were unaware of the brewing plot, and soon their lives would change forever. At 3:51, the assailant moved close to the Glass Research AGR building adjacent to the rally. He flew a drone 200 yards from the farm show grounds. The FBI said that the drone was live-streaming footage to the control, and it is thus impossible to access. The next important event comes at 4:26. This is an hour and 45 minutes before the shooting. At this point, the gunman was sighted by police, though they had given no warning to Trump's security detail. Fast forward, and there is less than an hour before the rally starts. It's 5:10, and the police notice the shooter a second time. 4 minutes later, and the local SWAT team takes a photo of the shooter. They have solid evidence that he exists. And is this communicated to Trump's security detail? No. 18 minutes later, and the SWAT continues to watch the shooter, and they realize he has a rangefinder. Apparently, this still wasn't enough evidence to warn Trump and his team. It's now 6:02, and the SWAT team lost sight of the shooter. Not only does he possess a rangefinder, meaning he's preparing to shoot at a long distance, but he could be anywhere at the rally. At this point, Trump could have delayed his entrance, likely preventing the shooter from making a shot. But since he was unaware of the danger, the rally would go on.
They were monitoring this guy for an hour beforehand. Yeah. No one told you not to take the stage?
No, nobody mentioned it. Nobody said there was a problem. And I would have waited for 15. They could have said, let's wait for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, something. Nobody said, I think that was a mistake.
Just 1 minute after law enforcement lost sight of this potential shooter, the live stream started and Trump entered the stage. 6 minutes later, and the police finally locate the subject. Somewhere in this time period, the audience managed to locate the shooter. One of these individuals was Greg Smith. He and others like him warned the police. This critical moment is a final warning, before the shooter was situated with his gun. If Greg's final warning had been heeded by police, perhaps the threat could have been eliminated before any victims had been claimed.
We noticed the guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle.
A rifle.
We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on.
People closer to Trump weren't aware of this impending danger. If we take a look back at the rally, Trump was already speaking. At this point, he's endorsing McCormick and talking about how he needs to get voted in. The crowd is completely unaware of the situation. You can see them smiling and reacting to Trump's banter. Trump is at the center stage. His audience is caught up into his speech, listening intently, but behind the scenes the police are intently watching someone else. They found the shooter once again. Now Trump is locked into his sights. It's been 5 minutes since Greg Smith's final warning. The police finally do something. One climbs up the roof and sees the shooter, but immediately climbs back down. The policeman radios in, warning of impending danger. At this point, the shooter was given almost an hour and 45 minutes without direct contact from law enforcement or the Secret Service. It's possible he didn't even know he was being watched. This police officer radios in saying the subject has a gun. In just 30 seconds, the shooter fires off and makes a lethal shot. If we rewind just a minute and a half before the shooting, Trump goes off script and talks about immigration, asking his aides to pull up a chart. At this point, he pivots his head multiple times, turning to the chart and back to the audience. If we look at a 3D model of the moment the bullet came cruising towards his head, he barely managed to avoid the deadly shot. Unfortunately, however, others were not so lucky. Some were critically injured, and one brave hero made a split-second decision, which saved his daughter but cost him his life. Next time, on The Plot to Kill the President, Decisive Action.